Mr. Transformers 96 here with another Marvel Legends wave ranking. This time we have the Into the Spiderverse series Stilt-Man Build-A-Figure wave. So this wave, I bought all the figures except for the Hand Ninja. Just want to put that out there. I just bought the Hand Ninja's Build-A-Figure pieces, being the legs for Stilt-Man, of course. Just not a figure that I particularly like. Not a character, I guess. A figure looks fine. Character-wise, didn't need it. I love the idea of them doing an army builder with Build-A-Figure pieces that you can actually use more of. I think that's a great idea. Just for me personally, although I'm a big army builder fan, Hand Ninjas are not ones that I'm particularly interested in, so that's why I just didn't need it. I didn't pre-order it, and it became one of the more popular ones of the wave. It seemed to sell out quite quickly, so I looked around, was able to get the legs for a great price. I decided to do that. If I ever see it at retail, I might pick it up and, just so that I can kind of see Stilt-Man even taller. So I might eventually, but for right now, this is the wave that I have. It's the 4 Spiderverse figures, the comic Frogman, and then the complete Build-A-Figure. So in this, I'm just going to be ranking them from my least favorite to my favorite, and which was very difficult for this wave, to be honest. This overall, figure-wise, I think is a really solid wave. They're very much on par. It was really hard to pick my favorite one, and it was really hard to pick my least favorite one, to be honest. They are very close together, I would say. But nonetheless, I must do it, so I did. And we'll get started here with the ranking from my least favorite to my favorite. And in last place, I do have to go with Gwen Stacy. Again, this was a very hard list to put together. I think a lot of these figures are really on par with each other, but if I have to pick my least favorite, it's probably going to be her. I think that I just had the least amount of fun posing her. She's the most like just a normal figure that you would average, kind of get. I think a lot of the figures in this wave are very unique, mostly new sculpts, while this one I feel like is a bit more average. Torso articulation has no reason to be limited, and yet it is for some reason. I do like the unmasked head sculpt. I think that's very nice. And the fact that she comes with Spider-Ham is awesome too. So not a bad figure by any stretch of the imagination, but comparing it to the rest of the wave, for me personally, probably my least favorite. And taking the 4th spot, we have to have Prowler. This was the one that kind of looking at them in package, I anticipated to be my least favorite. And I actually really enjoyed this one. So my big issue with it is the hands. The hands are just kind of like they're holding hands, and the hinge joint on the wrists are going the opposite way. It's almost like these hands were designed to like hold guns or something, like a large gun. These hands would be perfect for it. They're holding hands with the hinge that goes up and down instead of like in and out. And it doesn't work for Prowler. I would have liked something a lot more aggressive. The hands, claws out, and then the hinges the right way so you can put them up, like a Black Panther figure type thing. And unfortunately, they didn't do a whole lot, and that's his most like kind of menacing feature about him. So it's weird that they just didn't do it well. These would be like okay alternative hands, but it's strange that these are the only hands that you get. What really turned me around with this figure though is the head sculpt. I like the way that the mask is sculpted, especially towards the bottom, and especially the ankles. Ankles are probably the best articulated ankles I've ever seen. The hinge is so well done, and then the feet are kind of large enough to really sustain nice poses. So I was able to do some really cool, menacing, like kind of lunging poses with this guy because of the great ankle articulation, having be perfectly balanced. So that's what made him a little better than what I was originally anticipating. And in 3rd place, we have Frogman. This is a figure that is actually really good. I do like it quite a bit. It's a nice, interesting way for them to kind of reuse portions of the Dr. Octopus sculpt, considering that sculpt is so unique, not often seen in comics, so there's not a ton of characters that they can do with it. So I think this is a nice one that they did. The articulation is very good. I love the feet with the little springs in the back. You can get him in cool poses, and just overall a very well-articulated figure. And taking that silver place, we have Miles Morales himself. So this is a figure that I think is really quite nice. Proportion-wise, I think that they really nailed it. I love the super thin legs, and then the very thin torso. The texture in the Spider-Man portions is very nicely done. I like the texture a lot. The other figure on this list, Peter Parker, who you're about to see, he has textured costume, but his webbing goes in. It's all indented, while the one with Miles here is all on top of it. It's poking out, which I think looks really cool, and it just has a better feel to it, I think. His jacket's awesome. I love the layering that they did. I'm surprised that the red and the blue pieces of the jacket are actually two separate pieces. I expected that to be sculpted together. Articulation is quite good. The only place where I'm kind of disappointed when it comes to articulation is the thighs. Thighs are not as articulated as you'd like for a Spider-Man style character. His torso articulation is really fantastic, though. Overall, great figure. And for my favorite figure of the wave, I'm going to have to put Peter Parker. I think this is an excellent figure. He's quite tall. You get a little bit more than even more Miles, because Miles is so small and skinny. This one, a bit bulkier. He does have the texture in his costume, as I was explaining with Miles. I love the two different shoes. I love the proportions on him. He's a unique sculpt, which I like a lot. I think that the face sculpt is also the best of any of the animated ones here. I think that it really nails him. Apparently there's two versions. Apparently there's a version with 5 o'clock shadow like you see here, and one without. I think that the one with looks so much better. And then he does come with, a few pieces to make him a little more Spider-Man-y. I believe extra hands, and then a different head sculpt, of course, with the about to pull down the spider kind of mask. And of course, the best accessory of all is that Slurpee cup. It's perfect for him, and he's just a really fun figure to pose. And the poses that you can put him in are so unique. Like, there's not many action figures where you can pose them like you can pose this guy and have them look good, because he's got such just kind of a almost lazy, a little disorganized kind of stance to him, and he just looks awesome. So overall, really unique figure and just extremely well done. And there's my ranking of the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse Stilt-Man Build-A-Figure wave. Overall, quite a good wave. Of course, did not pick up the Hand Ninja. Other than that, though, really liked the wave. I think that Frogman is a fun comic character. Stilt-Man, he just barely qualifies as a Build-A-Figure to me. I personally wish that maybe you only had to buy 5 figures instead of the full 6 to complete him. But he's an okay Build-A-Figure. The real stars of the wave are the Into the Spider-Verse figures. Not only is it cool to get figures from that movie, since it's so far past the release of the movie, nobody really expected to get these types of figures. So to be able to finally get them is awesome, and they just did a really nice assortment. I would have preferred the entire wave to be Into the Spider-Verse, with the 2 comic characters being Spider-Man Noir and it would probably be a little bit too big. Maybe the Dr. Octavius, and then have the Build-A-Figure either be SP-DR or Kingpin. That would have been awesome for me. So I do hope that they continue with this. I know there's a 2-pack coming out of a slightly different version of Miles and Gwen, but it would be awesome if they did another wave with some of the additional characters, because there's really a ton of characters they can do from that movie. But even if they don't, the ones that they give you are quite nice, and I can't complain at all. Overall, really solid wave, all very much on par with each other, I would have to say. So let me know what you guys think of my ranking. I'd love to hear your guys' ranking as well, and thanks so much for watching.